I mean, you had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes. Claps all around. I might have spoiled it for everybody, but that does not mean that this will be a fantastic show. I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way in St. Cloud, Minnesota, in Granite City Studios, Paul Volta, Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
You know, the only thing that we can really do to get through another wintry day here on the 2nd of April, 2025 is, of course, learning of the great legacy that we once held with the legendary actor, sadly passed away, Val Kilmer. He certainly did. I mean, all the great roles that he had in his time playing Jim Morrison, Iceman on Top Gun. But I will forever remember my Val Kilmer. Of course, he was Batman, too. But my Val Kilmer, when I imagine him, Doc Holliday in Tombstone. It took everything inside me to not watch Tombstone before the show here tonight. But as always, I'm your Huckleberry.
To Val Kilmer as well. I think I've known him with Batman a little bit because, I was kind of into the DC stuff and whatnot. But, yeah. With that being said, Voldy, we finally secured a guest. It's about time we did that.
Finally.
Well, it was going to work. It was going to happen last week, but there were some things that happened last week, and, that's okay. But the good news, and the people have been asking, the people have been clamoring for this young man, that is one Cole Munson. Welcome back, Cole Munson. Yes. About time, Cole. It's about time. No Ricky Rubio mentions, nothing. We're not talking about that today. How's it going? What do you got for us?
Man, let me tell you, that flu bug hits hard. But we're here today. We're ready to go. We're ready to talk some Wolves. We're ready to talk some Twins.
That's right.
And we're ready to rock and roll.
We are going to, in fact, rock and roll tonight. And you know what the cool thing is, Cole, is that we've got some things to talk about regarding the Wolves. There was a brawl. There was the Wolves last night with that awesome victory over the Denver Nuggets. Alex, if you're tuning in, suck it. You like that, huh? and we got Glenn Taylor waving the white flag. He has officially said,
There you go.
I'm done pursuing the Timberwolves. Yes. A-Rod, Mark Lowry will be the owners of.
How many times are we going to teach you this lesson, old man?
Well said, Voldy. That was spot on. And it's true. I mean, he's not getting any younger. He got hip surgery, all that fun stuff. It's time. It's time, man. Just give it up. Give it up. Just leave us alone and whatnot. So that's what we got. I mean, Tater Tot Hot Take tonight's going to be hot, fresh out of the oven. It's pretty much mostly Wolves tonight because we have our Cole Munson, our expert here as well. And then we're going to talk Twins with Tater Tot Hot Take. They started off awful. 0-4, lost to the White Sox. Cole's got some thoughts on that too. We will quick chat about that after we talk Wolves. For Tater Tot Hot Take, no special segment tonight because we have our guest. And ARAs are pretty stacked tonight, Voldy, I will say. We got the Yankees torpedo bats. They rake opening weekend. They did do very well with those bats. We'll have a lot to say about that. And then the NFL owners approve rule changes. A lot of rule changes happening. Not a whole lot of Aaron Rodgers talk, thankfully. Then we got Ovechkin. He's getting so close. He's getting so close to that record. Can he get it before then? Yeah, it is 4. Yeah, I just realized that too. So
Yep, it's all good.
Pretend that's a 4. Pretend that's a 4 on our.
You're a 4.
So Ovi's getting close. It's great. It's just really cool.
So close.
And then to round things off, Stanford hires Frank Reich as their interim head coach. We'll have some thoughts on that as well. So we've got a lot to talk about. Tater Tot Hot Take. I say we get it going. Let's get it going with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it's time for some Tater Tot Hot Take. So at the beginning of the show, I was like talking to Cole, and I was trying to get us started, and I was trying to do two things at once. Cole has not seen the 5-year anniversary logo, so we are going to reveal that, and to the zoners who haven't seen it yet, here it is. Let's actually, Voldy, since we do have this with us, we do have the drum roll, so let's go ahead and do that.
Yes, we do.
Hey, there she be. Yes, that is the official MinneZona Sports Live 5-year. So
She a fancy boy.
she is very fancy. And thank you to the Kerf Doctor sister who put in the time, Kelsey Kerfman, who put in the time to do this for us and whatnot. So merch coming soon. You will see some stuff happening at some point here. We will be getting that.
Hit me up with that logic.
Oh, yeah. You know it. I mean, Cole, we should put a Ricky Rubio face on one of the shirts or something.
Nope.
Hey, I'll buy a Rubio jersey. I'll hook you up. I'll call you about a patch. We'll stick it on there.
And you know what? At this point in time,
your Rubio love, Callahan.
you know what? At this point in time, send it. I'd love to have it, to be honest with you.
Full time.
We're moving on. We all respect to Ricky at this point. So, but with that being said, guys, the Timberwolves played the Pistons this past weekend, and I was watching, and it was a fun game. Don't get me wrong. It got really chippy with the Wolves and the Pistons. This game, I thought, without Cade Cunningham, who didn't play, we did kind of talk about this before the show a little bit, but things got really chippy. Naz Reid, Dante DiVincenzo getting into it with some of the Pistons players. Isaiah Stewart, who's been known to be kind of a jackass, for one. He's kind of their enforcer, per se, but Dante DiVincenzo held his own in that. So, Cole, what are your thoughts on the brawl that happened in Target Center the other night with the Wolves, Naz Reid, and Dante? What do you got?
Well, first off, did you hear that Tim Conley was in the back part of like the in like the walkway back?
Yes,
to the locker
I did
rooms?
hear that, and he was dapping up. He's like, "Yeah,
he was dapping up Dante and Naz as they got ejected out." Gotta love
let's
it.
go."
Love it.
My president of basketball
So
operations right there.
We mentioned this guy's name already, but before we go any further with yours, Cole, remember, acknowledge your tribal chief, Naz Reid. He is our tribal chief. And he'll be back against Brooklyn, so we'll be talking about that too. So, but yeah, Cole, what are your thoughts on with the brawl? What do you got?
Well, I'm glad Dante is able to handle his own. I'm glad Naz is able to handle his own. Putting that rookie in his place, gotta love to see it. Beef Stew, I think, has more ejections than highlight plays, and I don't know if I know more. I don't know if I know of a single great play he's made that's not just trying to fight somebody. So seeing him involved with all this, I just assume it's on them. Like it's just wild to me. And I mean, um, what another two people that did get ejected were the head coach, JB Bickerstaff,
Yep.
and assistant Paolo Prigioni. Paolo Prigioni got caught saying that the other team, all they want to do is fight. Which, I mean, for beef stew, that sounds kind of right. Like, dude started a fight and then is walking off the court yelling Detroit, just showing his chest all the way across after trying to pick a fight. It's like, man, what are we doing here? What's the goal here? Is this? I mean, I'm not a big hockey guy, but Voldy, if some guy got into a fight out on the out in hockey, and then did the whole like pointing at the chest and the whole 9 yards after they barely took a swing, dude would be clowned out of there. What are we doing?
Oh yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I don't know what Detroit's really trying to accomplish the last couple of years. Of course, they've, for lack of a better term, they've stunk for like the last 3-4 years. It certainly feels like, and there's just no consistency to how they stink. It's, they're getting blown out by 30-40 points. They've got players trying to run other guys and other teams. They're trying to run fans as well. But now there's just no consistency in the fact that they're trying to put together a whole season. And by the end of it, you're just left wondering if it's even worth, even showing up for at most points. But yeah, there's a lot of things you could take away from said brawl. But I really love the fact that, the T-Wolves didn't shy away from the contact. Naz Reid, obviously, DiVincenzo. I always like the fact that now we've got a guy on the T-Wolves beyond Ant that's a little bit more of an agitator, with DiVincenzo. He's going to get in there. He's going to muck it up a little bit. And, you're going to take a swing on him. He's more than likely going to swing back because, he's got that. And Naz is right behind him. A little bit of a, little man, big man combination there. A little bit for those classic pro wrestling fans. You got Shawn Michaels and Diesel there with Big Daddy Cool being in Naz Reid to, finish up the mess that DiVincenzo starts. But I like the fact that they didn't shy away from it. And we could look back at this moment and could definitely see as where this was really a turning point for the T-Wolves going into the postseason.
Well said. And that's exactly what segues right into my point with this is after that, they turned it on, and they turned it on quick. Cole, we were talking just before the show about how Malik Beasley Malik Threesley in the first half, was really hitting, man. He was. I'm not even, the thing is he's one of the top 3-point shooters in the NBA. I didn't know that. While this game's going on, I'm like, someone needs to just deck Malik Beasley and, or whatnot. But no, obviously no one's going to do that. But he's doing the shimmy like we were saying and whatnot. But after the fight, all bets were off with the Wolves. They're like, you know what? No, we're taking over. And it took Ant maybe a little bit longer. But you know who was balling out, Cole? Rudy Gobert. Gobert was fantastic against the Pistons that day as well. So I think after that whole little scuffle, you see kind of how guys have reacted towards that, scuffle, including, Gobert getting in there trying to break things up, coaches and whatnot, coaches getting into it with other coaches. And, it was more the Pistons than it was, the Wolves. Because, I think the reason why the NBA suspended both DiVincenzo and Naz is because Naz, when he got fouled, he went up to that who was the guy? What the rookie? We say the rookie, but I can't remember what the guy's name is.
Ron Holland.
Ron Holland. Okay, and he just Naz was like, if you do that again, I'm gonna he said some very choice words, and DiVincenzo got in there. Then you see Beef Stew stewing up stuff. He's trying to beat the hell out of DiVincenzo and everything like that, which is just crazy in itself. But this was something that they needed, and we put it on the socials medias. We like Voldy, I think, even put on one of the accounts was possibly Bad Boys Wolves, which would be kind of cool, Just saying, it could be possible.
Man,
That's tough in today's NBA.
Backing it up, boy. Backing it up.
You gotta have a lot rougher big guys to be able to pull that
Yeah,
off.
that's true.
Rudy.
I know Rudy. Yeah, Rudy.
Rudy ain't that guy.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever seen that from Nas. And hey, Julius could probably put somebody in a bag, but I don't know.
But he'd probably travel. I'm sorry. I had to. But honestly, he's played well. He had 26 last night against the Nuggets. And
yes.
We'll get into that too. But anyway, just to kind of wrap that up, they bounced back and they finally kind of got a win against a team that's, in the East, obviously, that's competing for, a playoff spot as well. It was a nice win, and then you're thinking, okay, now we got to take on a team that we've had a lot of success against, and honestly, we've done well against, which was the Denver Nuggets. So moving over to the Nuggets here, Cole, I mean, first of all, what a game. I mean, just insane. It was just haymakers left and right from both teams, and it seems like every time they play now, it's going to be a close game. They're going to, one team's going to have, a really good night, or this team's not going to be but both teams had a really good night. No Jamal Murray for the Nuggets, no Naz Reid for us, and Dante, obviously. So, we'll kind of talk about specific plays in the game and whatnot, but what were your overall thoughts, Cole, of the game against Denver last night? What do you got?
Well, also no Michael Porter Jr.
That's right.
That
yes.
also plays a part in it too.
Huge.
So that was one of the best regular season games I've seen. You're sitting there, and it's one of those games where it was like, you don't want to go to bed. You don't want to miss any of those moments, but you're kind of looking over at the clock, and you're like, man, I got to work the next day. It's 12:30. It's almost 1 o'clock. Holy cow. And you're sitting there tuning in, and it's just haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. Jokic hit shots I didn't think he didn't miss. Aaron Gordon, of all people, hitting a pull-up three.
Yes.
Still Alexander Walker having the game of, his season so far. It was crazy what he was hitting. It was a playoff atmosphere. It was a playoff type of game. You love to see it, and you want to I would love to have seen it with both teams at full strength, and that's kind of where I regret that fight a little bit. As much as it was a cool moment that we can kind of look back at, having a full squad from both sides for that game would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, couldn't agree more, and I think. We obviously saw it last year with that series and whatnot. We all thought it was done after when they lost 3 straight. And then they come back, they beat the living piss out of them in Game 6. And then, obviously the awesome Game 7 last year. Mm-hmm. But a couple of things that I took from it, and, I'll ask this of you too, Voldy. Our bench was fantastic. I just want to rattle through a couple stats here. Julius Randle had 26 points last night. Cole, you haven't been a big supporter of Randle, and a lot of people weren't either. I mean, don't get me wrong. But, hey, he's playing well. He's got 26 and whatnot, and he's passing the ball maybe a little bit more. Yep. We got that going for us. Jaden McDaniels had 12. Rudy has been playing well. 19 last night. 12 rebounds. So he's doing what he's supposed to do. Mike Conley, he hit a couple of nice threes towards the end there. He had 9. And then Ant, kind of took over when he needed to. And I think that's another proponent of what he brings to the table with 34, and then obviously Nikhil with 26. coming off the bench and obviously hitting the free throws and whatnot. So, Voldy, I asked this of you because I'm curious your thoughts on this. The towards the end of the game, the Wolves turn it over. They try to set up a play. It just fails epically.
Miserable.
And then you have Russell Westbrook going down and trying to lay. Like, the thing is, if he lays it in, they're only up 3 at that point, and then obviously Nikhil's got to hit the 3 to tie it and everything like that.
Right.
I mean, if you're Russell Westbrook right now, I mean, how just awful do you feel about missing all those things? I mean, is this the end of Russell Westbrook as we know it? What do you think, Voldy?
I mean, in the grand scheme of everything, I don't think it's going to overly affect Russell Westbrook. I know that his career numbers are certainly going to speak for themselves. Just right now in the moment, yeah, it kind of hurts just because the Nuggets are at a tipping point right now where either it's going to be good or it's going to be real bad with the end of the regular season going into the playoffs. And opportunities like that to close out games, you need to capitalize on it, especially in as much of a logjam of a Western Conference as it is right now, and how teams are moving up, teams are moving down here coming into the final stretch of regular season games. I know Denver definitely needs to lock a few things down in order to at least, put some things together here before said playoff picture comes rolling around.
We've known Russell Westbrook to dunk, and he didn't dunk it just to for sure, get that going. That's just crazy to me. And then not only that, he fouls Nikhil Alexander Walker, which I think, in my opinion, I think it's a foul. I don't know about you guys. I felt like he got into his space a little bit. I know that Denver fans were very upset, and I'm sure Alex, if he's tuned in right now, is not very happy of the call and whatnot. But you know what? We'll take it. But yeah, I mean, Cole, I'll throw this question to you. I mean, with Westbrook, doing that thing. I mean, without the Wolves. If the Wolves don't turn it over there's no, there's probably either they miss a shot or, Ant and whatnot. But the thing is like in clutch time, they've been very good, and especially against Denver as well. So towards the end of the game, I mean, Ant really came on. I mean, what's kind of impressed you about Ant in these big moments? What do you think?
So where Ant really thrives with stuff like that is more towards anywhere between like a minute and about 6 minutes. That's kind of where he really picks up his game. He senses when we really need him to put a foot on the gas and just go, because he's able to go into another gear, get himself going. It's been really incredible to watch some of the shot making he's had once he's finally starts getting himself going in those late game situations. I will say there is a lot to be asked for there with the end of game situations and some of the offense that they're running towards the end there. They should have had this game won in regulation. They should have had this game won in the first overtime. And the fact that they needed Nikhil Alexander Walker to bail them out like that is a major detriment. It's how you don't have Anthony Edwards or Julius Randle get downhill at the end of that game is insane to me. I know Anthony Edwards is getting a double team, but Julius Randle catch the ball and go. Catch the ball and just Anthony Edwards, you got to get that ball out of your hands faster. To rely on a Jaden McDaniels mid-range pull-up with Aaron Gordon with a hand in his face is a horrible, horrible end-of-game situation. So overall, Anthony Edwards, like I said, he turns it on in the fourth quarter in the second half, and he single-handedly puts us in some of these games and puts us in a lot of these situations where we have a chance to win it at the end. It's just Chris Finch and the coaching staff and a lot of the best players need to figure something out there on trying to get better shots at the end, because what they're doing now is
Yeah.
just not acceptable.
Well, I feel like too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I like having Randall involved in some of these plays. I feel like's not the best idea. I don't know. I mean, it's the thing is he looked confused when that whole inbound happened, and it's just like. It's like, dude, you've been with the team for longer, like a long time now. You should know what you need to do. And it seemed like there was just a miscommunication there. And thank goodness Westbrook missed. And Nikhil going down on defense to try and help out. I think Conley was down there too. But
well, one of the biggest things with Randall that he had all throughout his New York years and going back further than that is he would play really well during stretches, but then when it came to playoff time, the guy would just disappear. Or like big moments against really good teams, the guy just wouldn't be the same. And he had a great game last night, but you also saw some moments last night where he just didn't look comfortable, or he just didn't look like he was ready for it. So that does have me worried going into the playoffs, that we got to have everyone showing up at the top of their game to have any sort of chance against some of these teams. But we saw Cat struggle in the playoffs, and we were able to survive at stretches. So
I was just about to say,
hopefully he can keep it up, and hopefully he'll get that figured out. Hopefully Coach Finch can get him in the right spots he needs to be in.
Yep. And I think they'll be able to. It's just a matter of having everybody on the same page and all that stuff. And I mean, there's no excuse anymore since Cat's gone. I mean, with Randall and DiVincenzo, I mean they're well, into their time here now. So we'll see. You'll see how that kind of plays out, but. Christian Brown, right? Not Braun.
Yep.
Right, I believe
we
always said. He was kind of he hit a shot or whatever, and he was kind of clapping in Ant's face. I do want to mention because you did mention this with Ant, and boy did Ant respond in the best way. He's like, you ain't doing that to me. And just whipped
Ant
his
is
ass.
not one to mess with on that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Ant is not the guy to mess with on that type of stuff. He will rip your throat out.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they did. And Ant, Ant definitely let him know at the end of the game and whatnot too. So, real quick, before we move on to the other big news, Jokic, 61 freaking points.
It's nuts.
Are you kidding me? I mean, this guy is just. He's a big man. Obviously, he's a big man and everything, but he shouldn't be doing this. This is just insane to me. I mean, the Wolves did everything they could, but this is why I feel like the Nuggets are in trouble, is because they have no bench. They have no bench. I mean, even it's like, well, they didn't have Jamal Murray. Well, Aaron Gordon still had 30 points, but he's not always hitting from three. He's not always going to be hitting from three. But 61 points. 10 rebounds, 10 assists. I mean, what do you do? Well, you know what's interesting? 24 free throw attempts. This is interesting to me. But, when you're a superstar and a VP, I get that in some way. Besides SGA, that's a whole different conversation. We've had that before. We don't need to go into it again. But, I mean, kind of looking at the playoff standings, Voldy and I have talked about this numerous times here on the show with kind of where we're thinking the Wolves or what they're going to do. Like Voldy and I think we said, what is it, 7th seed Voldy? They're in the plan. They win that game. They take on the Rockets. So the question I have to you, Cole, is, now that the Wolves are kind of positioning themselves, they could very well be a 6. And, the Warriors still have some, games left and whatnot. I mean, they could be a 5 seed, taking on, I believe it would be the Lakers, wouldn't it? if all things fall the right way. That's what I see. They're at 4, and then if the Wolves win and Warriors Grizzlies lose, then they move up. But Cole, where do you think the Wolves will be? Towards the end of the season, since since we're getting pretty doggone close, Woldy and I kind of said 7. They would, take on the Rockets or something, because I don't think the Nuggets are going to catch up to the Rockets. I mean, they're 2.5, 2.5 out. So, Cole, where are you thinking the Wolves are going to end up? Are they going to be 7, 6, 5? What do you got? Did we lose him? Oh, I think we lost. Oh, oh no!
I was gonna say I haven't seen Cole blink in like 3 minutes, and
I was ready to throw. So I was ready to throw it right to him. Ah, damn it! All right, well, this is what we'll do. We'll get him. Cole, oh no! This is like our first time.
I will say as well. Like sometime last week, we lost internet at my place here, so that would have been not last week. It was like Friday the week before. I didn't have internet Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, most of Tuesday, and yet it came back like sometime Tuesday afternoon. So we went 5 days without internet, 2 kids at home. Me and my wife were at a point where it was like Lord of the Flies, and we were about to throw someone off the island.
Lord of
goddamn
the Flies.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know
it got
what
dark.
happened there.
We'll blame the weather.
All right,
We'll blame
done?
the weather.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It happens.
Taylor got pissed off.
It happens.
Glenn Taylor got mad. Heard me talking.
Oh, I don't even know where you got cut off from or where you didn't hear me. But what I asked you before you hop off again or something. Where do you think the Wolves are going to end up here? For like 7th, 6th, 5th seed? What do you got?
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they're the 6th seed, and I want them to have Denver. That's the dream role. Give me Denver, Minnesota 3-6 matchup. We go in there, and Jokic can average 60, 10, and 10. Who cares? We win in 5. Like I honestly believe that we have this team's number, and I think that we just handle business. And then, whoever we play in that next game, whether that's Memphis or that's Houston, the Lakers, maybe, who knows? I'm not terrified of anyone in the West outside of OKC. And OKC, we have played really well. I believe we split 2-2 with them. So there's not a team I'm afraid of. And if you can find a way to push that OKC matchup to the West Finals, and get past Denver, take advantage of a young Houston team. Everyone outside of OKC has some flaws that you can take advantage of. So I don't see why we can't make it back to the West Finals and go toe-to-toe with OKC. And then when it comes to that, we have the defense and we have the size to be able to go toe-to-toe with them and really make that a series. So, just get there, see what happens, and we got a puncher's chance.
That's a good way to put it. I feel like facing them in the final or in the West Finals as opposed to facing them like right away is probably maybe not the best time. But I feel like with a lot of these teams, and I know the Wolves went on their bigger run this past year, but they've got the experience now, and a lot. Besides, let's see, DiVincenzo was on the Knicks before. Yeah, him and Randall were on the Knicks, and they played in the playoffs. All these guys have seen playoff basketball. I mean, this is a team that I feel like I don't, like you said, I don't fear many teams in the West. I might a little bit, just a titch, with the Warriors. I don't like the whole Jimmy situation for one, because who knows. I mean, he really does. I will say he does turn it on. When it comes to playoffs, that's for sure. I mean, there's no.
Callahan, you're fucking Jimmy. What in the world's going on, Callahan?
Oh, I don't want it to happen. I'm kind of like, I'd rather if it's in the West Finals and we take them on. Oh, all bets are off.
Jimmy.
Playoff Jimmy's
Jimmy.
about to get his ass kicked. That's what's going to happen. But we'll see. But but Steph. I mean, it's Steph too. I mean, good Lord, he had 52 last night.
Yeah.
52. So I mean, that's what I worry about. And but I don't know. We'll see. But the thing with me is that, like you said, I don't necessarily think that these teams like we're deeply afraid of and everything like that. I mean, we named our teams, but they have some experience, and now they're able to beat these teams that have been there before. You look at the Lakers. I mean, LeBron and Luka, and then you got the Thunder played well in the playoffs last year. They just couldn't get by the Mavs with Luka and Kyrie when he was healthy and whatnot. But yeah, I'm still gonna stick with the 7. But I think taking on Denver again, I think they definitely would get the dub there. I just think I don't know about 5 games. I'm not gonna go the full Shannon Sharp and start rhyming and whatnot. But I'll go.
It don't matter. Serge
Wolves
Ibaka,
in 5.
Chewbacca, Waka Flocka. Lakers
Wolves in 5. I love it. Wolves in 5. But
OKC, KFC, UFC. Huh.
Lakers in 5.
yeah, I love it. I had to throw that in there because since we're talking pups and whatnot. So, but yeah, cool. I hope that's the case. So you're saying 6 seed against the Nuggets, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on that, and then we'll talk to some of our other Wolves. Actually, maybe we'll do a little bet. Who knows? I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Talk to Zappa, talk to Rattel, see what they're thinking, where the Wolves end up. So, but with that being said, guys, it's over. It's finally over. The Glenn Taylor era is finally over, for goodness sake. It is done. The Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
It is. It's good. It's good right about now. if you're a Timberwolves fan, so it's we're feeling good. The guys are feeling good, and we're just kind of. I know something happened here, and I'm trying to fix it, and it's just not cooperating. But Cole, what are your thoughts on the big news today with with A-Rod and Laurie and Glenn Taylor? The face-off's done. Glenn's not going to appeal. What are your thoughts on the big news?
It's finally done, man. It's finally done. Oh, it feels good. Yes. So, a little bit of inside baseball on that, on some of that stuff too, is Tim Conley is up to opt out of his contract at the end of the year. The Wolves GM, the one that orchestrated this entire team, is up to be able to opt out of his contract and get out of there. If Glenn pushed this all the way out to the offseason, we might not have Tim Conley anymore, and that would be a major deal. As even if Alex and Mark ended up winning in the end, they'd have to go back and start searching for another general manager, and I don't think you're finding someone as good as Tim Conley. So thank goodness that this is finally done. We finally have the owners that we wanted and we needed. KG, please come back. Please come back.
I think
clears up. This clears up the runway now. I think you're probably going to be seeing a jersey retirement here by the end of this calendar year. I think there's possibilities of a statue being put out there. I really think that at some point we're going to be looking at a statue time outside of Target Center.
Yes.
And keeping Tim Conley is a huge thing. Because some of the moves he's done that Mike Conley deal is one of the best deals I've seen, where he ended up getting a lot of different stuff, 3 second-round picks, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Mike Conley out of D'Angelo Russell. So big things coming out of that.
The thing that I want to bring up too is that, you know, when this first got brought up and them doing this whole deal, you know, we all had the feeling of A-Rod, like, you know, because I have been, and admittedly on this show, I've been an A-Rod hater. The baseball player, you know, the lies, you know, cheating, the roids, you know, you bring the whole thing up. It's like, it's hard to trust this guy. But there was one thing that I did see on the game against Detroit, Voldy and Cole, is that when that fight spilled off, as we welcome Tate into the fold, the there was, you know, the fight was happening, you know, fans were like, whoa, what the heck? You know, they're all like, what is going on here? There was a kid that kind of got stuck under it, and he was like freaking out a little bit. And, you know, and obviously you're like, you want to say, hey, you all right? You know, everything like that. A-Rod goes over there. And he says, he's like, hey, you want, you know, like, are you okay? I'll get you a free jersey. He gets him a free Nas Reed jersey, which I thought was really cool. And I thought it was a great gesture. I saw some Wolves people that was working the game and stuff checking in on the kiddo and whatnot. And I was like, okay, you know what? I want this to happen. I want A-Rod and Laurie to be our owners here. So. To add on to that, Voldy, I asked this of you, since we've talked about this numerous times with Kevin Garnett having the jersey retirement and whatnot. Yes. I mean, I think this pretty much solidifies it, right? I mean, do you think a statue is in the works too? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think, obviously, the big thing is the jersey retirement for sure, to join along the greats that hang from the rafters of the Target Center, which there are a few of them, but there should definitely be more on the side of the Timberwolves for sure. And I think a statue ultimately it has to happen, because there's no better way. I know that, you know, obviously the relationship between Glenn Taylor and Kevin Garnett had its fallout and, you know, when he came back the second time around, and then the fallout after that, and then just the way he's stayed away over the last few years, waiting for Glenn Taylor to ultimately step away. Now it's a golden opportunity for Laurie and A-Rod to win over the fans instantly. You retire the jersey, you get the statue put out in front of the Target Center, and hopefully we start to welcome back, of course, some of the greats of the Timberwolves. Like I've said here on the show many times, of ways they can win over the fans in an immediate instant. I think the statue, I mean, it's going to take some time, obviously. I mean, right. It could very well happen in the next year or so, but there's definitely a lot of planning that has to go into that for it to happen. But I think, obviously, the big thing is to get that jersey hanging up from the Target Center henceforth. Definitely the start of next season for sure. I mean, it's very late in the game right now. So definitely, I would certainly hope that they would take some time in at least planning this all out. So next season for sure, it has to happen.
So I did hear too, and I don't know if you guys heard this too, but I think I'm not sure where, but they might want a new arena or something like that. They might, you know, do something like that. And then I think there was a lot of talk of like, oh, then that'd be an excuse for them to move. I don't think they're going to do that. I really doubt that they would do that. Don't you agree, Cole? What do you got?
Them moving versus what you think of them moving are two very different things.
Right.
There's a very real chance that they move, but I'm talking like they move from downtown Minneapolis out to Maplewood or to Woodbury or St. Park or something like that.
Egan.
They're not going to move outside the Twin Cities areas, but that doesn't mean that they're going to stay downtown permanently if they're not getting what they want. So, personally, over here in Eau Claire, I won't mind, you know, make that drive a little bit easier for me. I got to drive over into downtown Minneapolis, so that'd be great for me.
Throw it in Woodbury, that'd be great.
There is, with the league-wide expansion and all that going on right now, there is a 0% chance that they allow them to leave Minnesota. They are locked in Minnesota. The league is smelling money ready to be made by having those expansion teams in Vegas and Seattle. So it is 0% chance that they leave the Twin Cities area. Now, if you've got a stapled interest in exactly where in the Twin Cities, then that might be something you might want to pay attention to.
Yeah, that's the main thing, and they never said it was like, oh, it's like they're gonna definitely get out if that's the case. I don't think they will, and I don't. Surprisingly enough, and I know this is the state of hockey and everything like that. Like, we get that, but there's a lot of like big basketball fans here in Minnesota. I mean, there are, but not saying that, not trying to compare, but I mean, there's so many people that are invested in this team now because of the successes that they've had with Ant, with Cat. I mean, I feel like Cat kind of started to garner some interest into the team, and there were some bumps in the road, Jimmy Butler, and some other things that happened. Rosas, remember Rosas? That whole deal.
Yikes.
I mean, good Lord, that was one of the worst
Garrison.
things. Yeah, it was embarrassing. I mean, to say the least. But the good news is that there's a lot of eyes on this team now, and that's what they've desperately needed for the longest time. So I think that I don't think they're going anywhere either. But it's nice because I feel like these two guys, and Lori and A-Rod, they know kind of at this point what not to do, especially when you had Glenn Taylor as your owner. That's why I think that they'll be successful. Does it mean that they know what they're doing? I mean, yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, this is all new. They did bring in Tim Conley, and look where that's gotten the Wolves. I mean, it's gone quite well, to say the least. So, yeah, I've got belief in the future for this team, and I just think Glenn got a little greedy. To be honest with you guys, I think he got greedy because he knew, at one point it was 1.5, and then all of a sudden the Wolves start winning, and then the sales starting to go up, and Glenn's like, "Ooh, I can sell it for more," and then
that's a big thing. You watch the Celtics get sold for $6 billion, and you sold for 1.5. That has to be a tough pill to swallow.
Right.
And granted, if you're Glenn, what are you gonna do with that money at this point anyway?
I know.
Like, you
can pay for that hip replacement. It's fine. I mean,
go home, have that lasagna, go enjoy it. Let us enjoy our Wolves.
And it's not like they're going to be like, Glenn, you can't come to the games anymore. I mean, you can go to the games. It's fine.
Go set them up in the. Hey, you can go sit in those 200s with all those blue blood fans up there.
Yeah, that's right.
Enjoy those.
The real fans sit. Yep.
Exactly.
Oh,
Get them in with those $10 seats.
Right. And I think what helped them raise this money, too, let's not forget, former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who was a big proponent of that, Eric Schmidt, former Google billionaire or whatever, Blue Owl Capital, an NBA-approved alternative asset management company, and they, raised enough for them to have it. I just think Glenn just made up an excuse to say, oh, they didn't have the money, so that's why I pulled out. You can't do that, He's just an interesting person.
Callahan, he went on interview admitting that a large reason why is because he regretted the fact that he sold it for the number he did. And so he is going to try and find a way to get some more money out of it.
Yeah.
He went on to an interview and admitted the fact that he regrets selling it for the price he did.
Yeah.
So he's trying to claw back the money that he's missing.
Yeah. Well, he's a greedy son of a bitch. I'll tell you that much. Jesus.
How many times are we going to teach you this lesson, old man? That's a soundbite we need.
We do. You know what?
Old brother, this guy stinks.
Get all the SpongeBob ones. Oh, that. Yeah. No.
Now
you got me thinking SpongeBob.
Would you have led with ball right off the bat? Ball.
Is mayonnaise an instrument? No. Well, with that being said, I mean, that's going to wrap up our Wolves talk. They play tomorrow against Brooklyn. in Brooklyn. Don't lose that effing game, please. Please
No.
don't lose that game.
No. Don't lose all good momentum you have.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, one last
Yes,
thing. Real
go ahead.
quick. Right. 3 key free agents going into this summer. It's going to determine a lot of what this team looks like going forward. Julius Randle has a player option. Deciding what he does with that makes a lot of decisions for you based on the fact that Naz Reid is also a free agent. So if you want to keep Naz Reid, there you go. Also, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the guy that just put up 26 last night, is also a free agent. So 3 key free agents this year. A lot of experts are saying that we're going to determine the market and we're going to determine what we need to do with going forward with this team. So that's something we really need to keep an eye on when the season ends.
That will be interesting. And especially, Cole, I wish we had more time to talk this, but Kevin Durant has been mentioned a few times, and it almost happened at the deadline. I think there might be a small chance, not saying that it will for sure. I think there's a small chance they make a play a little bit for KD. That'd be great.
Till next time, Captain.
Till next time. We'll hold on to that for next time. But Cole, you going to join us for Twins, or what are you thinking?
I'll stay for the Twins.
All right, let's do it. Why the hell not? Come on, let's do it. So, I feel kind of bad about this, but I don't at the same time. The Twins have sucked so far. I feel like the first 4 games were terrible. You look at how everything's happened, those damn poll ads. You got Rocco Baldelli, kissing their ass and whatnot, and just kind of, just saying, oh, everything's going to be fine. Everyone's healthy. Byron's going to be great. Correa's going to be great, and everything like that. We're all ready to go. And then they go and they get their ass kicked against St. Louis. Damn. And then, thankfully, they won the series, and obviously they won just before we started the show, so they did win the series against Chicago. But they played one of the worst games I think I've ever seen a Twins team play. And they got smacked by the terrible White Sox team 9-0. I've been saying this for Voldy probably 3 years now about Rocco Baldelli. I think he needs to go, and I think if this gets worse, if they go in and they get smacked by the Astros, and then the next series they lose, I think it's time to pull the plug. And there is a guy, the bench coach that they have right now, has managerial experience. So I forget his name, but there's
still Jace Tingler.
Yes, him. Yep, that's it. Thank you. So, I think Rocco, the hot seat's getting there, and thankfully they turned the bats on at the right time yesterday and today, kind of getting those 2 wins, which they desperately needed. I'm telling you, if they lost both these yesterday and today, I think Rocco might be gone. Because I would be curious tomorrow to see what the attendance is and everything like that. But those are just my thoughts. Cole, what are your thoughts on the Twins so far? I know you've got a couple things to say, so the floor is yours.
How fast can Chris Paddock pack his bags?
Yeah.
Just how fast can you get those bags packed and get out of here? That was... I was sitting at work, and I was like, okay, I got Twins 1:10 start. We could tune in for this game. I got a meeting here at 1:30, but it ends at 2. They should be prime, ready to go, ready to tune in. You want to know what? I check in at 2 o'clock. They're down 9-0 to the Chicago White Sox by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. No way I'm tuning in. No. Their pitching staff to start the year, I know Pablo just had a good game, and Simeon Woods Richardson just did his job yesterday. But it has been a horrible, awful starting pitching to start this year. Wasn't it Bailey Ober the one that got rocked for like 9 or 8 or 9 too? Like it was just
his was in St. Louis, I think, and then then it was Paddock that got destroyed in Chicago.
They came out with some stats out of those first 4 games. We were worse in those first 4 games than the Chicago White Sox last year.
Oh my God.
And that was a record-setting bad team. It doesn't get any worse than that White Sox team. And we were worse. So, on the bright side, it only goes up from there. Like, you hit rock bottom at this point. There's no way we can get worse than what we've played. And now we did win 2 out of our back-to-back games, so we stole the series. We're starting to get some momentum. But that 0-4 start was so bad and so just, I hate to say it, Twins-like, where you just kind of, you get excited for the start of the season, and then they just rip all excitement out. And, you get swept, but you're like, you know what? You got the White Sox coming up. Maybe we could get some excitement going again. And then you lose 9-0 against the White Sox, and then the fans are tuned out. But then you steal 2 of the next games, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get crushed this next game. Because, I don't know, Callahan. It's just, it's really tough. And this starting pitching staff, I think, will get better. The offense, I think, will start turning it around. But if not, man, 20 games in, 25 games in, if we're still looking like this, Baldelli's gotta be sweating it, and I think he might get canned.
I'm not going to get on this rant because I've already gone on this with Rocco Baldelli, the Pohlads, the whole thing and whatnot. And it's not worth it at this point for me to get amped up about it because I still believe that is the case. If I agree, and I think we have the same mentality. I just think, especially when the team was good, I just feel like whenever we got to that moment of keeping Barrios in, with 6 innings and Rocco pulling him out, and then they lose the game. Sonny Gray was pissed when he got pulled out of the game, and he actually got into a verbal confrontation with Rocco and whatnot. So I don't need to explain all that stuff and get worked up about it because this is just how they roll. And I kind of knew this when he was on with Dan Barrero on KFAN. And he was just ass-kissing the Pohlads like no other. He's saying the players love the Pohlads. The whole administration they're just so great. They're great owners and everything like that. Yeah, it's because you're telling you have to say that because you know that they're just terrible, and we all know they're terrible. So this isn't anything new. And Rocco is a Pohlad ass-kisser. I'm sorry, it's true, but Anyway,
Callahan.
Yes.
Your boss comes up to you mid work day.
I know where this
and you're talking like higher up. He comes up to you and is like, "Hey, you like me, right? You like me. Are you gonna look your boss in the face and say, no, you suck? You're horrible. I hate your guts." No, you're never going to say that. Rocco Baldelli's never going to say that. He's still trying to cash every check he can get. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I know.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying that he should.
All the managers, all the players, everybody loves me. Everybody loves me. Well, yeah, because you're cutting the check. You're cutting the check. Everybody loves the guy that's
You're
paying
40.
you.
They're $425 million in debt right now. They need all
clearing that well.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Pohlads, if you want to cut me a check for millions, I'll love you to death. You're my favorite people. I'll go sit there, Christmas Eve. Oh, you guys are the best, man. Oh, you guys are awesome.
I know. No, I know. And that's the thing. I don't expect, but it's just like, but it was just constant is what I'm saying. It's like, okay, you need to stop. They're not that great. They're not, it's just no one to put it in moderation. You know what I mean? That's how I.
Rocco's laying it on thick because that seat is about as hot as, hot as lava. He can feel it coming, and he's trying to buy as much time as he possibly can.
Yep. Voldy, what are your thoughts on how the Twins have started? What do you got?
Obviously a very rough start here. Just a lot of questionable play to start off the year. And I know a lot of it comes down to a lot of new guys in the lineup and just trying to find the right mojo where guys are going to work best in the lineup too. Pitching has been suspect to start off the year. I mean, it hasn't really come down to the bullpen because of the fact that the Twins have been so far behind early on. Then you look at how the starting rotation has really hurt them in a few different areas. But things have started to at least a couple bright spots. Harrison Bader's getting some playing time, and he's hitting the ball pretty well. I think he's got at least 2 home runs, if not 3 already in the first
He's playing well.
6 games of the season. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Buxton hit a home run today as well to get them back out in the right direction too. But taking to the last 3 at Chicago at least builds some momentum, and I definitely think we hit that 25-35 game mark. And if the Twins do not have a winnable record, if they're not right at 500 or above 500, I think Rocco's definitely on his way out for sure. You've got a guy there with Jace Tingler who does have that managerial experience. I'd say no less than 50 games over, 50 games at that mark for sure. That 25-35 game mark is where you start to really see how things are going to turn out for the team. You've got somewhat of a good lineup set to where guys are playing day after day. You've got a few starts under, there's probably about 4 to 5 starts for a lot of guys in the rotation, see how they're going forward. If you don't have a very competitive record at that point, I could very well see, Rocco on his way out for sure. I just really hope the fact that with the new guys that they do have contributing in the lineup, that they stay healthy enough, because that's one thing that's really hurt the Twins in the last handful of seasons, guys not staying healthy, and especially when we need them most.
It's an interesting stat real quick, and I know, Cole, you got to get going, but Carlos Correa, guys, 0 hits. 0. A guy we're paying all this money for, not getting it done with the batting.
So did Rafael Devers for the Red Sox up until tonight. He had at least 2 hits for sure. I think he finished like 2 for 3 or something like that.
Oh,
so, hey, we're turning things around. Rafi had in 19 at-bats, 15 strikeouts to start the year. So, things are a little bit, a rough start for a lot of guys.
Yeah. So hopefully that changes. But Buxton hitting that home run, and, I miss those solo shots of starting the game of Buxton hit, because I think that's what gets him going at. Anytime he plays well, they're winning games. And that's why you need him. It just gets hurt all the freaking time. So that's a whole other conversation. But it's good they won the 2 games. This is very. But I don't want to put all the blame on Polaz and Baldelli. But it's the players, too. I mean, it's guys like Correa, and even before this with Buxton, he wasn't playing well at all starting off. I mean, this, and it's just they needed to find a way to just, not have to think and just play baseball. Just enjoy your time, going. It's not like they're, it's very early in the season. I get that. But if you're playing like the way you did against Chicago, I mean, the stat line for Paddock, Cole, I know you mentioned this. Let's just quick go through it. He only won three innings, 6 hits, 9 earned runs, and 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. That's just bad. That's so bad. So
the thing is, you got guys in AAA to bring up to do better.
Is Varland up or no?
Guy so much money. Huh?
Louis Varland. I mean, is he in the bullpen? He is in bull. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know if he went back to starting, but yeah, good Lord, Chris Paddock, I think, is seeing his days might be numbered as well. So hopefully next outing you can figure it out. We'll see. So, All right. Well, Cole, we will let you go. It was fun talking, doing Tater Tot Hot Take with you and talking some Wolves finally and whatnot,
Yep.
and talking some Twins. So thanks for hopping on. And one last thing too, after the I think it was the Detroit game, and I was just like, I'm wearing Wolves right now. Actually, I am wearing
Are
under
you?
this quarter zip,
That
but I also made another purchase. Well, I did make this purchase right here. I did. I forgot to mention this. This is the draft cap for 2025, Cole, by the way. So there's some other versions if you're interested. But I decided to give Ant-Man some love, baby, with Ant Edwards.
Oh,
So I
that.
made a purchase. I was just like, you know what? I got to rep Ant-Man. We talk about him a lot on the show. We love Ant, and I got my Wolves stuff ready, Cole. I mean, I'm ready for the playoffs, man.
Hey, he is going to cook. That is the one thing you can guarantee about Ant. Come playoff time, that guy is going to cook some people. It's going to be who comes along with him and what version of Julius Randle shows up.
Yeah. It can be Ant-Man. It can be Superman. It can be Batman. Wolves in 5.
Wolves in 5.
I had to do that. It's so good. So anyway, I got it all decked out, ready to roll. But Cole, thanks for hopping on. We'll talk to you soon again, and obviously when the playoffs are getting going, we'll be talking. Maybe have you on again. So we'll go from there.
Of course.
All right. We'll talk to you later, sir. Catch you later.
Yeet.
Yeet. I got him. There we go. I was just like, he's like, where's that end button? I was like, I got you. Boom.
Hello, darkness. Awkward
Hello,
silence,
darkness, my old friend. So that was fun. A lot of good times. Happy to have Cole back on. We got Air A coming up here. Voldy, we've got the Yankees with the torpedo bats, the rake in opening weekend. We've got some thoughts. About that. NFL owners approved some rule changes that are going to be happening. Kind of subtle, I feel like. Nothing too big, not a tush push or anything like that. There's tabling that and whatnot. So we'll talk about that. Ovi is down to 4, not 5. 4 goals to break the record. It's 3. All right, let's go. Maybe I can put something in front of that when we get to that one. So, 3 more for OV. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then Frank Reich, new head coach at Stanford. There's an interim label. So does that mean it's only for a year? Is he going to stay? Who knows? So anyway, we better get it going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right. It's time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, of course, we dive into the world of Major League Baseball. Less than a week into the start of the new season, a little bit of controversy already out of the start with the New York Yankees and their new and improved torpedo bats, if you will. Well, they started off the weekend hot, to say the least, in a drubbing of the Milwaukee Brewers in a win that was 20-9 on Saturday. That included a team record 9 home runs. Of course, home runs hit by the likes of Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, Anthony Volpe. You got Austin Wells and Jazz Chisholm Jr. A handful of those guys, if not all of them, in the new mix of bats being used, which does provide a little bit of a torpedo with a little bit more mass in that quote-unquote sweet spot of the bat, moving wood from, I believe it is from the handle up to the part of the barrel, which would allow them a little bit more opportunity to get a good hit on the ball, even if they don't get a good swing on it nonetheless. Of course, this technology was a instrumental part put on by a former front office staffer and a former astrophysicist, believe it or not, that worked in the Yankees system and was a
Oh,
former he taught astrophysics at Michigan. He was an MIT guy, then somehow ended up working his way in baseball, was coaching, now ended up as a was in the Yankees organization, but now works with the Miami Marlins, believe it or not, to
jeez.
bring more mass to the bat's sweet spot. A little bit of a Forrest Gump kind of life that guy has lived up until this point. But now, with the Yankees now getting a little bit more of added oomph to their lineup with it not being an actual player, but more likability, and also with more guys looking into the bringing of the torpedo bats to their swing and power. Is it absurd or approved? Should Major League Baseball look into these torpedo bats being legal and a part of the game?
Well, it's crazy because Judge literally just smashed like three in what how many ever at
Yeah.
bats, and then it's
Yeah.
I think they might have to because
Mm-hmm.
that something to me screams okay if they're able to use this and other teams aren't, and you see the way that the Yankees were going in and just destroying the baseball there. Against the Brewers, and the Brewers, oh my goodness, got destroyed. So
Yep.
I think it's it's got my stamp of approval. Just how they taking a look at it and just seeing okay, is there anything that's anything that's fishy about this and whatnot. I think you got to look into it because that seems to me like that's a little much. I mean, it's not like Judge. Judge doesn't have the power to hit that. He does. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Mm-hmm.
But within that time span, I mean, man, that's crazy in itself. I think there's a lot of discussion with this now, especially with how it went. Yeah, team record 9 homers that traveled over 300. Oh my God, 3,695 feet. That's insane. So yeah, I think it's time to take a look. I would say to answer the question, I think they need to look at it just to make sure. Like, and if they're proven wrong and it's fine, then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it hurts to take a look. That's how I look at it. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, we see the continuing change of the sport and the game when it comes to equipment and also just overall play in the game. I find it very interesting that we've taken to this long for like some sort of significant change in bats, because we've seen over the years too guys kind of change a little bit from the standard bat knob to like an axe handle bat that doesn't allow them to get jammed. It allows them to at least a little bit more wrist movement. I've seen that over the last 10 plus years. I think some guys have kind of switched that up, but now getting a little bit more mass, the sweet spot. But as long as the bat still kind of weighs, I mean, as long as it weighs the same, but doesn't really, I mean, it's not like they're going out there and swinging with, flat, like a cricket bat or something wide and dense to where they can at least hit something off of it. I don't see an issue with it overall because we've seen other guys in the league that have these torpedo bats. Ryan Jeffers, he used a torpedo bat. Well, Ryan Jeffers is Ryan Jeffers at this point, ain't exactly hitting the cover off the ball here for the Twins. So it's not exactly, this bat is juice and, you guys are out there swinging with, metal bats or whatever and just cranking shots. You still got to hit the ball is the thing. And, hitting a baseball is one of the most impossible tasks in human history. And the fact that it's the Yankees that raises a few feathers, but say it was, I don't know, Seattle or like, I don't know,
The
Cincinnati.
Rays.
Yeah, the Rays. If it was any of those teams, I feel like nobody would be raising any feather, ruffling any feathers about it. Just because it's the Yankees, everybody's going to be like, all right, well, now they're cheating again. They can't win the big ones, so now they got to find ways to game the system. I don't have a problem with it. I know MLB is probably going to look into it, but I don't see them being made illegal. So I think it's absurd. I don't think any serious course of action is going to be taken into it.
Fair enough. I think that's just interesting how it's the Yankees, and it wasn't like, yeah, like you said, like Seattle or the Rays or something like that. But I don't know. We'll see. I guess we'll see what their findings are if they do. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world of the NFL with where the NFL owners' meetings did take place and some rule changes did take place for the upcoming NFL season, which does include a few things with touchbacks, the tush push, and even overtime play, amongst many items that were taken into account and also approved or even moved forward or held off for later conversation. The NFL owners did approve significant change to the league's kickoff, which will say that the touchback on the kickoffs, the dynamic kickoffs that will be marked at the 35-yard line as opposed to the 30-yard line that took place last season. Now, this will certainly make teams decide a little bit further whether they want to do touchbacks on the dynamic kickoff or try to pin them a little bit further deep. Now, even a part of other rules that were adjusted there, it was also that the competition committee did decide to add responsibilities to its replay assist program. The on-site replay official will now be permitted to even reverse flags that are thrown for hits to defenseless players, along with fouls for face mask, horse collar, tripping, and even running and roughing into the kicker. Now, they'll be able to take flags away. They will not be able to throw flags with the on-site replay assist. So that's the big thing out of that message. Also was approved was a guaranteed possession in overtime during the regular season. Now, it used to be, of course, if a team scores a touchdown in overtime during the regular season, that team wins, game is over. Now, this rule will also change. The rule change aligns with the philosophy from a previous change of the postseason. Overtime, except regular season overtime, will be remaining to a limited of 10 minutes. So basically, team scores, first team scores in overtime, whether touchdown or field goal, the other team will get a chance to respond, but yet still a 10-minute overtime. Now, there will also be, looking at some other ones here was, a request from multiple teams to allow team staff members to prepare K-balls, footballs used only for special teams before game day. And there were a couple other things that were eliminated, or at least things to address. Oh, yes, the tush push. They decided to table said motion for banning of the tush push after an initial vote by the owners in even of 16-16 when it comes to that vote on the tush push. It looks like it'll be pushed back to May with the next meetings that'll be coming up there for any further conversation whether tush push should be banned or not. So among the notes that have been approved and rules to be changed for the upcoming season, is it absurd or approved? Will these rule changes play significant roles for the upcoming regular season?
I sure would hope so. Let's just start with the OT one. I think the OT one is fair in the regular season, just because I feel like teams, no one wants a tie and everything like that, especially on their record.
Right.
But at the same time, I just feel like, okay, you both get a chance. Okay, let's just say the Vikings are taking on Green Bay. Vikings go on and score. Green Bay gets another chance, even though they shouldn't. No, but I mean, just to kind of see where it goes, and then after that, it's sudden death. I mean, it's like, if you win the toss, I would imagine you'd want to receive right away, but there's the off chance that if you don't get it, then they get a chance to go down and score and then win the game. Just got to have a good defense, hopefully, and solid offense. So I like that one. The other one, and I think we've been saying this for for a long time, and I feel like this happens to us Vikings fans way too much, is obviously the face mask on Darnold this past year was absolutely egregious, especially when three men are sitting there and saying that they didn't see it. And then the Stafford fumble or whatever, or the Stafford pass that never really. I mean, the replay assist, I think, had to be the ones that had to, be the big changes. And just to kind of, go from that and not, not having to worry like, oh, we should have thrown a flag there and whatnot. I mean, I think it can be beneficial, but I also can see it being a disaster, to say the least, as well, just because, there might be some confusion, but I feel like they can get that figured out. The other one, the touchback to the 35, that's interesting. I think that's what, a lot of teams are thinking like, oh, crap. I mean, now we got a decision because, I mean, midfield is only 15 yards away. I mean, that's key. I mean, you don't have a lot of room there as if you're going to just do a touchback. And I think they're trying to get a little bit more returns out of it and whatnot so that people like your guy, hashtag Free the Dreads, Cordero Patterson, can get more opportunities to return the football and whatnot. So, hopefully that's the case and whatnot, just to give them some more. But it's like, well, what about the health and safety thing? And it's like, well, they're trying to make the kickoff, I don't want to say better because it's not really that much better. It's just, okay, you guys stand 5 yards apart and then go from there, and whatnot. But it works for the UFL, which is fine. Like, I don't mind that. But, yeah, that one I think is gonna, give some second thoughts to coaches, and I think they're gonna start to think about that a little bit more as well. So I think that'll be interesting. But yes, it's got my stamp of approval. I think these will make some changes real quick, or I mean, this will, make an impact on some of these games, and maybe people aren't bitching about it. Who knows? So
for sure,
Voldy, what do you got?
I definitely like the change on the touchback for kickoffs because it really forces teams now to consider, okay, if we're going to kick it, we're going to have to hit it in the landing zone and hope for the best because of the fact that you've got the line of scrimmage for the returners, or at least the return team and the coverage team closer to where said, return would take place. And now instead of it just being the 30 you just be like, all right, we're going to defend 70 yards. Now you're defending 65 yards and one first down plus. You're almost at midfield by that point. And, you get 2 first downs, you're in field goal range if you're you're the team that receives the kickoff. So that is definitely something to take into consideration and will allow more guys that make their living or have made their living off returning or being a special teamer to be quite considerate of how they play overall. So I definitely see it as being a positive for the likes of, teams to, at least have that come through. And another one I really do like is that overtime rule. We're getting closer and closer to the point here where teams are just, the league's just going to be like, all right, let's just adopt the college rule and let's just put the ball to 25, get a first down into the end zone. Let's have fun from that point, and let's see some 6-7 overtime games in the NFL. But a lot of these rules that we have seen have come down to the likes of being of the offense. Now, of course, the last couple rule changes that we've talked about have focused on the offense, or at least special teams wise. But I do like the fact that overtime is now being adjusted. I just wish it would have been adjusted to 15 minutes in overtime as opposed to the 10-minute quarter. Because if you get a good enough drive going, you're already down to 5-6 minutes of that overtime regulation period, and it could be a good thing, especially for the team that drives all the way down and scores. You leave the other team possibly 3-4 minutes, and they're gonna have to start ramping things up a little bit. I definitely like the fact that they are taking that, especially now both teams getting a chance to possess the ball in overtime. Now it really forces the defense to actually go out and make a play too, besides the fact of, you hold them to a field goal, you get a chance to score, but even if they do score a touchdown or a field goal, the defense can at least say, we tried our best, so at least now we have the opportunity to try and, get our team a chance to at least know whether they need to score a touchdown or they have a field goal on top of it. I just really hope we don't get more ties out of it, with there being, of course, opportunity possessions to both sides with the overtime rule. But these rules definitely could play out in a big way, especially with the changes to the kickoff and also the touchbacks to the 35 for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all goes with our lovely NFL games. So it's these rule changes. I think hopefully there's not as much. The touchback one, I think, eventually has to be addressed. It has to. I hate that they don't have messed that one. Haven't even addressed that. But anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world of the NHL, where I try to do just a quick update. Of course, conversation leading down to single digits of the great chase. That is Alex Ovechkin. Last night scoring his 891st career goal, but as of about 15 minutes ago, scored his 892nd career goal. That means he is only 3 goals away from breaking the all-time NHL goals scored list. And I'm just double checking here. Yes, we are still just, he's got 39 goals on the season for him. So that means we are still 3 goals away from Alex Ovechkin breaking Wayne Gretzky's record of most career goals in an NHL career for him. With all of these being taken place, with there also now being the opportunity for Wayne Gretzky and Commissioner Gary Bettman to follow Alex Ovechkin after they reached past the 5 goals to go mark. Now, Ovechkin does need 3 goals to break the record. He does have, I believe, 8 games left, not including tonight, 8 games left in the regular season to break the all-time goal scored record before going into the playoffs. Now, of course, we were hoping that this time a week ago that the record would have been broken at that being at XL Energy Center. So hopefully not to be named anything else here in the near future. But is it absurd to approve now with 3 goals to go here in the regular, or 3 goals to go with the great chase for Alex Ovechkin? Will the goal scored record be broken by the end of the regular season?
Oh, that is the great question, isn't it? There's a 3 in there. Just take it. Take it for what you will. Anyway, I really want it to happen. I think it would be better if it was this year, for instance, for Ovi. I think Ovi, has proven that he's one of those guys that, that's a great and a first ballot, I would say, Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how much he has left. I mean, do you have any idea, Voldy? Have you heard anything? What he plans to do, for the future? He's still going to play for a while, isn't he?
Oh, he still has 1 more year left on his current contract. So it's the end of next season would be his last contract. But there's a lot of things coming up here for Ovi as well. Of course, there is the Olympics coming up here next winter. So it'll be February 2026. That'll be taking place in Italy. I have yet to hear whether officially Russia will be allowed to participate in the Olympics when it comes to, ice hockey on top of it. I know that a lot of other groups have been, dispelled from that because of course, the doping that took place such time ago with Russia. But I feel like that's going to be a main factor for him. He's still in the best shape of his career. They've got a young enough team around them to at least continue to, put something together for the future. But they're looking pretty solid, especially with now a team that is at the top of the NHL vying for that President's Trophy title for, most regular season points on top of it. But I feel like with there being now this goal, the goal record chase taking place, once it does break, I mean, is that going to let all the air out of the balloon? And then they're just going to be like, all right, we got that off our back. They're going to lose all that steam. But as of right now, Ovi does have that this year and next year still as part of his current contract.
Okay. So hopefully he stays on. He's getting a little gray. I'm not going to lie. He's getting a little gray there. He's getting old, but he's still scoring a lot of goals. I mean, that's That's impressive to say the least. And I actually and I can't believe I haven't done this yet, but I do have.
There it is.
I do have breaking news. The Minnesota Wild and the New York Rangers are playing right now. 4-4. Third period. Two-man advantage for the Rangers, unfortunately, against our Wild here. So hopefully
Wonderful.
that can change a little bit. So this was perfect time to quick do a breaking news for that. So anyway, just to answer your question, stamp approval. I think he will. I think they're going to really try these next few to get him to that number. And, I just think he's deserving. I really do. And, I think he's probably I'd probably say one of my favorite hockey players in the NHL for the longest time too. Just because of how he's played and everything like that. And the recent happenings, and Voldy, you're on the social media, so you probably know him and the Capitals. They're doing this pregame dance. The bands make a dance. Bands make a dance.
They've been doing that for so long, and I think they were doing that. I mean, the whole time in his career, Ovi's just had something with each guy, and their tunnel antics are legendary. Him and Oshie had something where they were whipping at each other with each of their sticks right in the butt every time, leading onto the ice or whatever. But yeah, those tunnel. I've personally seen it myself. The Lumberjacks. I mean, those guys always got some weird rituals and ways to get on the ice. I mean, it's just hilarious. You gotta love it. But yeah, and they were even talking to. It's of course, that song by Juicy J, 3-6 Mafia. I mean, when we get down to 1 or 2, I think Juicy J should be down in the tunnel singing "Bands Make Her Dance."
Yeah,
Bands Make Her Dance. It'd be hilarious.
I love Ovi's dance when he's singing it. It's so funny. Oh my god! So yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. I think it will. I'm going to give it that. So Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could very well get broken here in the next couple of nights for sure. Who knows? He could add one here tonight, be down to 2, and he could very well get it in the next game, just the way that they've been playing. Unfortunately, losing right now. I think 5-1 right now. They're losing. I mean, he's scored the only goal tonight, but I mean, they're a team that's, even with the record and the chase, everything going on, they've kind of struggled the last handful of games, and he's not letting that slip right by. Of course, he is the captain of the team. And of course, they're a team that, coming into the season, there wasn't a lot of, people saying, oh, this team's going to make the playoffs. I don't know. Can he score 42 goals on a team that doesn't have a lot to offer? And he's just like, all right, well, I'll just go out there and do it. Especially with the kind of some guys that they've brought in through a little bit of youth movement and guys they picked up through the offseason. They have certainly sparked a lot of new interest, and they are definitely vying for a solid playoff spot for sure. But they're kind of hit a few bumps in the road as of late. I think they've lost 3 of 4 and could be very well now 4 or 5 coming into barring anything weird that happens here tonight. But it's got my stamp of approval. It'll definitely be broken by the end of the regular season.
It'd be cool just to see history happen, especially for him. That'd be great.
Well, I want to double check too. I want to take a look here at their schedule coming up here. Of course, they're on the road tonight in Carolina, and I really hope that the record does get broken at home, just for the sake of the fans too, because of course, the fans there have been rabid, to say the least, for them too. But there's a lot of taking place with them, and oh darn it, what team am I looking for? Okay, Capitals. All right. And, a lot of national coverage starting to pick things up. Of course, TNT flexing a lot of games for coverage of the Capitals and this run that they currently have too. So looking at it, so right now they're in first place in their division, 48-17-9 on the season. I mean, they've lost 3 of 4. that was up until last night. Now they're looking at 4 or 5 right now. So
Yeah.
they're going to be at home against Chicago. That's going to be on Friday, at the Islanders on Sunday, and then their next game is until the following Thursday versus Carolina. So 2 of the next 3 going to be at home. You would certainly hope that Ovechkin would like to put up 3 goals against Chicago coming up here on Friday. But a lot of people are really hoping that he holds out for that regular season finale Thursday, April 17th at Pittsburgh, just to stab the knife just a little bit deeper into Sidney Crosby, just a little bit more of that little rivalry that they've had since their early years. But I feel like things will change well before that finale coming up here in 2 weeks' time.
It'll be one heck of a ordeal if that's the case. So, man, I'll be tuning in for that. So, yeah, we'll see. Good. We'll see if Ovi can do it. All right, last one, Volde.
Oh, we head to the world of college football and a few surprising moves at a, institution that once boasted a very strong football program. Well, things starting to take a little bit of a turn in a few different ways. It was announced here that this week that Stanford has hired NFL veteran head coach and to serve in the school's interim football coach for the 2025 season, Frank Reich. Of course, connections to Frank Reich and the general manager for the Stanford football program, Andrew Luck, is no secret to them with the coaching staff that they had when Andrew Luck was a starting quarterback in Indianapolis. Frank Reich served as quarterbacks coach and also offensive coordinator in his time with the Indianapolis Colts. Now, this deal has come to a bit of a head, of course, with the fact that former head coach Troy Taylor was fired at the end. It was fired because of of allegations coming out, and of course findings from 2 outside firms investigating the program that the former coach bullied and belittled female athletic staffers with inappropriate comments to other women about their appearances as well. So those conversations led to the removal of Troy Taylor as head football coach, with the interim tag being slapped onto Frank Reich for the 2025 season, as a search will be taking place for a permanent replacement after said season, of course, with the hiring of Frank Reich in the interim. Now, with Frank Reich serving as head coach in the interim for the 2025 season, is it absurd or approved? Will Frank Reich lead the Stanford Cardinal to an above 500 record for the 2025 season?
I just think, and I believe Andrew Luck, isn't he like the quote unquote GM of the football?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think
hired towards the end of last season, I think it was. Like once the season finished up, and he was hired as the GM. So
right. So this makes sense, and the connection's already there. To be honest, I've never really had any beef with Frank Reich as coach.
No, definitely not.
I think he got the short end of the stick in Carolina, after the 1 year. First of all, I think the owner's a clown in Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. And I just feel like they didn't give him enough resources to really build that team. Indianapolis, I guess that's kind of a little bit of a different story, but I felt like they just kind of went through quarterbacks so much. I still think he's a very good offensive mind. Now, translating to the college game, and you do have the interim label on it, I think they're going to play with some pride. And I feel like he's going to be able to, get enough out of these guys in order to, and I'm not saying they're going to win their conference or anything like that, but I just feel like with everything that went on with the Taylor, I didn't even know about that, to be honest with you. And first of all, it's just like, God, some of these coaches, and wasn't it the Michigan State coach that did some weird shit too, or something like that? And just, I don't know. Some people these days, I tell you, just don't get it. So I would say with Reich kind of at the helm, he's got the experience, obviously from NFL and everything like that, and obviously knowing Andrew Luck and everything like that. I will give it. I'll give it my stamp of approval. I'm going to say, let's go 7 or 8 games. I think that Stanford can win. And again, they're not a bad football team. It's just they haven't had that same success when they had with Shaw when he was coach as well. God, I think he's with the Lions now, if I'm not mistaken. Coaching is over there. David Shaw, I think, is his name for the Stanford Cardinal.
Yes, I think it was hired like a quality control guy or something
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Right. So it really hasn't been the same, and I think Andrew Luck and whoever's at the helm there in Stanford is trying to find the right fit. And I think with Reich, I think that's a very good fit, and I still think he's a quality coach, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the NFL again. I'll tell you that. So, yeah, stamp of approval. I'll go 7 or 8. Voldy, what do you think?
Well, I certainly think here, there's a lot of things that go into it with this conversation. Of course, with Reich now serving in the interim right now, you don't have a lot of opportunity to at least build for the future. You're kind of stuck with what you've got right now. And I did see, of course, Stanford did lose one of their better players through the portal. They haven't been to a bowl game or won a bowl game since 2018. That's a bit of a hurt for them as of late. And of course, you did hire, Andrew Luck to serve as GM, who's been, kind of out of the limelight since he retired, from the NFL with all the injuries that he stacked up and the hits that he took in his young NFL career. But I feel with a little bit of injection of life, there are certainly some things that could come out as a positive. Frank Reich is definitely not a bad coach. There's been some tough situations he's been in. Of course, he did get let go by Carolina early on with everything that went and happened there. That's unfortunate. Tough situation. Carolina's been in kind of a rough stretch as of late, even with a young quarterback that they had in Bryce Young his rookie year, and him getting ousted from there certainly did not help. So hopefully maybe finding a new way into the college ranks will certainly be good. I also look at it's like, okay, so you're coming in as the interim coach. Are you bringing your own staff? Are you working with the guys that are already on staff? You're in the midst of spring football right now, I would imagine. And what's that looking like? You're recruiting. You're, trying to hold on to guys that you have from last year's team, trying to find guys through the portal, trying to recruit guys, of course, from high school and to try to build the program. Oh, by the way, you're also playing in the ACC, which travels cross country from California all the way, coast to coast throughout the season. That's a lot for a guy to say, well, you might not even be here past, the end of the calendar year. So you've got, less than 8 months now to say, hey, I'm the head coach and I want to be the head coach for the next, X amount of years. There's a lot going up against Frank Reich, but I certainly think that he could be a guy that could definitely push the program in the right direction, especially with the back end that he's got with Andrew Luck as the GM.
It just kind of makes sense, and especially for a situation that finding someone on the fly like that. Pretty impressive how they're able to land
it would
him.
be.
So still 4-4 with the Wild. Looks like, well, I don't want to say that now, but it's about minute 20 left in the game. So it's looking like overtime. Let's just put it like that. So we'll keep an eye on that. And we have a plethora of Shield shot. Oh, great job with ARA this week, Volty, as always. And let's get it going with Shield shoutouts. There are a plethora of Shield shoutouts tonight. So I say we get it going. What's up? Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
You got to do it for me. It's all good.
Yeah, no, all good. So Voldy, who are you, or Shield, who are you shouting out tonight?
Well, we start here, of course. The hockey season did come to an unfortunate end a little early for our Granite City Lumberjacks over the Fraser Cup tournament this past weekend, with the Lumberjacks falling 2-0 in the semifinals of the tournament for the second straight year, fell against a hot goaltender once again, this time against the West Bend Power this past Saturday. It was a bitter end for the hockey season, and especially a big thank you to all the 0-4s that suited up for the Lumberjacks this season and seasons past as well. Certainly do want to say a big thank you to them for all the fun times that they've had and posted up. But also out of it, with the production the Lumberjacks had coming out of the Fraser Cup tournament, TJ Lepisto and Trent Peterson were named the Fraser Cup All-Tournament team. So shout out to those guys right there. TJ in 04, so his time with the Lumberjacks is done. And Trent, hopefully we'll see him back in a Lumberjack sweater next season. That would certainly be great. Got to give a shield shout out to SMSU baseball coach, friend of the program, Jeremy Ish, collecting his 100th career victory as a head coach, including his time with Upper Iowa University. Mustangs are off to a hot start in the season with a 16-7 overall record, 11-5 in the conference as well. So shout out to Coach Ish and the boys down in Marshall for a good start to the year, including a recent sweep. I believe they swept. I believe it was Minot that they swept over the weekend. So shout out to the boys there in a 4-game set. Do have to throw a shield shout out as well to the Minnesota Golden Gopher women's basketball program as they capture the WBIT tournament championship as well. So shout out to both Coach White and the squad for capturing the title out of the postseason tournament of the WBIT. Do got to throw some luck and best of luck in retirement to DSU track and field coach, the GOAT, Anthony Dreeland, who was one of the first couple of coaches that I had the pleasure to speak with in my time as fresh out of college in the world of being a sports director in small town radio. My time out in Madison, South Dakota, Coach Dreeland was more than welcoming for me into the program. He will be retiring at the end of the outdoor track and field season, with Alex Glover taking over the mantle as the head coach. Of course, the list of accomplishments for Coach Dreeland and under the Trojans' helm for him does include numerous indoor and outdoor conference championships, which has also produced numerous NAIA All-Americans for him. And really funny as well, as soon as I leave Madison, everybody starts winning championships. No direct correlation from there, but Coach Dreeland out of Fulda, Minnesota, so shout out to him as well. He actually bought a couch from me from when me and Sarah left Madison. And as of last appearance, that couch is still in the coach's office 6 years after the fact. So shout out to Coach Dreeland and the Trojans in their future. Best of luck as well to former Twins starter Lance Lynn, as he announced his after his short and tumultuous tenure with the Twins, announced his retirement after 13 seasons with 6 different teams, including a 2011 World Series title with the St. Louis Cardinals. One of the more notable stories I'll remember of Lance Lynn, I can't remember who it was, but on a podcast where a Twins reporter was talking to Lance Lynn about Father's Day, and well, Lance Lynn didn't have a whole lot of positive things to say about Father's Day. I believe, don't quote me directly on this, but he talked about the fact that well, I'm divorced. I don't get to see my kids very much at all, so Father's Day doesn't really do much of anything for me. Yeah, that's just being brutally honest with Lance Lynn. And also shout out as well to Arizona Diamondbacks reliever Ryan Nelson. Notched an RBI single on Saturday, which marked the first pitcher at-bat since the universal DH rule came into effect in the National League as well as the American League on top of it, and always bringing back why pitchers should hit in the National League and hashtag pitchers who rake. Shout out to Ryan Nelson, and that's going to do it for Shield shoutouts this week.
Before we, great job with Shield shoutouts, by the way, Voldy. We have one more thing before we end here. OT, the Minnesota Wild and Rangers. The Rangers just scored an OT. That will be
the bread man.
Game.
Panarin. Bread man.
Isn't he a wild killer too, Panarin?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Damn it. Anyway, that's still a point, though. They get a point. I mean, they can use all the points they can get, right? At this point. But
exactly.
So, yeah, that's update on the Wild. Oh, they have the standings. Hold on, playoff picture. They're at 89 points. I went away before I could really get to it. But anyway, great job with Shield Shadows, obviously. And, guys, thanks to Cole Munson hopping on. About time. Had a great chat with him. Wolves, Twins, the whole kit and caboodle. And whatnot. So a lot happening going on there. And yeah, we didn't even talk Vikings tonight, I don't think, if I'm not mistaken. So non-Vikings talk tonight. We'll probably have more coming your way. Obviously, there's still speculation, Aaron Rodgers, yada, yada, yada. Don't need to get into that. So anyway, guys, you know the deal. We got the merch. We got the sweatpants, the shirts, the stickers, the hats. It's still a little chilly out, but it's starting to feel a lot like spring here these next few days. So make sure you get your hats, especially the 4th of July ones will be hot off the shelf. Camo ones. Got the winter caps, the quarter zips, everything you need. And who knows, maybe we do a sale. You never know. So, yes, and also Voldy is wearing the MinneZona Sports Live shirt that I purchased for the both of us. So Voldy has one. Mine is somewhere in this apartment. I'll have to make sure I know where that is. Anyway, but and again, you might see it on our page at some point, and you guys might want some. So keep an eye out. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knudsen for the stickers. Those are still available. Make sure you check out W2 Performance with our guy, Will Rattel, at www.w2performance.com. And the Brotherly Ballers podcast, Tyler Herman, Jack Vickers, there's going to be ramping up at some point, especially with draft coming up as well, some of these rookies. So we'll talk more with them later on. TLS Performance, our guy, Troy Stoudemire Jr., ripped out of his mind, and he's the guy to see if you want to get ripped. That's all I got to say with that. Popcorn Bucket List, Nick Dahlhoff and our guy, the Rhino, Ryan Meyerberg, Omni Entertainment. They've got some reviews. They've got some episodes coming out weekly. Make sure you check those out on all the biggest movies. So check those guys out when you can. So with that being said, that'll do it for MinneZona Sports Live, episode 233. 233. We're almost 250. We're getting there. So we'll be back next week. Talk some more sports. Any big updates? Check us on the socials. So with that being said, remember, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.